I don't usually do gaming news videos like this. Today we have to because there is some big news. It is really disappointing to know that Sony was basically going to turn these great studios into live service studios. 2 live service games have been cancelled from Ben's studio and one from Blue Point Games. And I didn't even know that Blue Point Games were working on a live service game, which makes this even worse. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that rumored state of play coming in February, and I can tell you who's not going to be there. And we're going to talk about the Nintendo Switch 2. I know we spoke about it on stream, but now we've had time to digest it. We're going to take a look at some of the features and what kind of games we're expected to see. First of all, I've done a video on the games coming out on PS5 for January. We are going to take a look at some of the games that are out for PS Plus Extra and Premium. So starting with PS Plus Extra, we have God of War Ragnarok out for PS4 and PS5, and this one is a no-brainer. This is one of my favorite games on the PS5. I know some people have bought the game. I don't think you should feel bad, but what a game this is. The Man Who Erased His Name is also for PS5 and PS4 as you play as former legendary Yakuza Kazuma, who faked his own death and abandoned his name to protect his family. The combat looks a lot of fun and there's a lot of action in this one. We have Atlas Fawn Reign of Sand for PS5 as you explore a fantasy world and you can play solo or up to 2-player co-op. And Reign of Sand is actually the expanded version of Atlas Fallen, so you can expect an expanded world, new enemies, challenges, new quests, and an additional difficulty level. SD Gundam Battle Alliance for PS4 and PS5 in this new RPG. This is a multiplayer game and you can play with up to 2 other players in a 3-person team. Sayonara Wild Hearts in this arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, and dance battling. Anno Mutationum. In this action-adventure game, there are going to be RPG elements. You become Anne, a highly skilled combat-trained lone wolf on a personal mission in a giant metropolis. You have Orcs Must Die 3. You can play this solo or with a friend by your side, and you will arm yourself with a massive arsenal of traps and weapons. You have Citizen Sleeper. You are a sleeper, a digitized human consciousness in an artificial body owned by a corporation that wants you back, and Poker Club for PS4. So now in Premium, you do have Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings for PS4, PS5, originally released in 2009 on the PS2, Medieval 2 on PS4, PS5, released on the original PlayStation in 2000. And this is a new and improved version. On to the big news that I still can't believe this has happened. What were they thinking about changing every amazing single-player story-driven studio into a live service studio? It makes no sense. And even with Ben's studio, when they kept saying that they're cooking, they're definitely not cooking anymore. So just to refresh your memory, there was going to be a Twisted Metal live service game from Firesprite before cancelling it. There was an unknown live service from Deviation since 2001, cancelled in 2023 in May, and then shut down in 2024. We were going to have that Spider-Man live service. Now, this is the only live service where I was actually excited for. Imagine a live service Spider-Man game where each of your friends can play as Spider-Man, you're working together, taking down big missions and bosses. That would have been cool. I'm happy it's cancelled because Insomniac would have turned into a live service game. This would have been supported for how many years, how much resources and money would have to go into this in order to keep it refreshing. We had Naughty Dog with The Last of Us Factions, and they promised that this game was coming.
Is that this game is big.
Okay.
It's as big as any of our single-player games that we've done, and in some ways bigger.
Once again, this was cancelled because they would have turned into a live service studio. It makes no sense for someone like Naughty Dog, who is amazing at single player experiences, to turn into a live service game. I don't understand why you just don't make a multiplayer game alongside your favorite game. I don't get why The Last of Us Part 1, the remake, remaster one, I don't get why that didn't come with the factions, or just at least give us something online, or even The Last of Us Part 2. I know we got that no return mode. That is brilliant, but again, I wish we had co-op mode or something alongside that game. Sony cancels a Blue Point Ben's studio, PS5 games, one being a live service God of War title. Now, I don't understand. Who wanted a live service God of War game?
And let's start the day with a few new math problems. What is 5 times 2? Come on, children, don't be shy. Just give it your best shot. Yes, Clyde.
12?
Okay, now let's try to get an answer from someone who's not a complete retard.
The two developers won't be closed. You have Blue Point Studios, who made Shadow of the Colossus, and Ben Studio, who made Days Gone. Whether they're the same developers or not, it would have been a surprise if they actually shut them down, because Sony wanted them to do a live service game. Sony has revealed via Bloomberg that it has cancelled PS5 projects from both Blue Point and Ben Studio. The two developers remain open and won't be shut down, and Sony is now working with both teams to determine what their next projects are. According to Jason Schreier of the outlet, the project Blue Point had in the works all of this time was a live service God of War game. I know for a fact I wouldn't have been interested in a God of War live service game. Like, it's a single play experience. I just want to play as Kratos. I don't know how you make that intriguing. I can't imagine the decisions, the developers, when they thought, okay, Sony wants us to do this.
Let's see, hopefully we don't lose our jobs.
But the game Ben Studio was creating was also a live service title, which we knew. Sony hasn't confirmed whether the two cancellations will lead to layoffs at either developer, but they will remain open. Sony is working closely with Ben and Blue Point to determine what are the next projects and plan to do everything we can do to ensure there is a minimal business impact. Sony will continue to make single player and online games, a Sony spokesman confirmed. What's crazy is that we have spoken about this in the past, is that with Ben Studio, I said the only thing I would be interested in with that studio, with their live service game, because I'm someone who just loves single player games. If it was a live service game in the Days Gone universe, I think that's the only way you get people excited for it, because every post they ever did was Days Gone 2, Days Gone 2, Days Gone 2. Everyone wanted a sequel to that game. So if it was something completely different, being a live service in a very compact market, you're up against it. But if it was a Days Gone universe and you're maybe this hunter or survivor who has to gather resources and take down, I'm not sure. That's the only time I would be interested. But the fact that they were cooking and now they've decided to close it. What's crazy is the amount of years this is wasted. And I know for me, I love the PS5. I've enjoyed it, but the amount of years you have now wasted, including Naughty Dog, Blue Point, Ben Studio, all of your big studios, how much time have you wasted? Will they even be able to get a game out for this generation now? Or are they looking to do something for the PS6? So since finishing up work on the PS5 launch title Demon Souls, Blue Point has long claimed it was working on a new project that was described as original content. Everyone thought it was a single player game. Everyone definitely thought that. Now it's confirmed this was a live service game set in the God of War universe and has been cancelled as a result of a recent review. The same goes for Ben Studio, which was the team was staffing up for last year. Schreier claims Blue Point was helping Santa Monica Studio on the development of God of War Ragnarok between 2020 and 2022, and since this has been working on its own live service version of the series. End and Blue Point are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studios family, and we are working closely with each studio to determine what are the next projects, Sony spokesman told Bloomberg. And you look at some of the comments here, so many years of excellent developers going to waste. Hopefully they're learning. Please no more live service game from Sony Studios. You wanted a piece of the pie with games like Fortnite, Genshin Impact, and you wanted your own live service, but when Jim Ryan said they're working on like 7 live service games, how many people do you think are playing live service games? So many of those players are either playing like Marvel Rivals now, or Fortnite, or Genshin Impact. It's very hard to just get a target audience, because for me, I've tried even Marvel Rivals. I've played a little bit of it, but I just don't see myself playing it so much, just because I prefer single player games. I just don't understand how you've gone throughout this whole generation. I get it, we've got a load of remasters and remakes, which I've enjoyed. Even The Last of Us Part 1, I get it. They're trying to milk it. Naughty Dog wasted so many years and time and resources for that live service game, and then it gets cancelled. And now I'm assuming the Intergalactic game is going to come at the very end of the PS5 cycle. These AAA studios, it's not that you can't trust them, it's that you expect more from these AAA studios, and we're getting more from the Asian developers, China, Japan, South Korea. It's crazy how many games I'm getting into, and it's mainly from Asian developers. The AAA game is crazy, and the fact that how many years have you wasted now? How many people did you hire who were more suited for live service titles? How many layoffs are there going to be? Sony's live service push has been a disaster of utterly insane proportion. So live service, the two words that every PlayStation fan seems to pop a blood vessel over, and you know what? That a kind of visceral reaction now is justified. Under former CEO Jim Ryan's leadership, PlayStation had announced its intent to blitz the live service market to create PS5 mega hits that would rake in unprecedented dough. To be fair, everyone wants a piece of the pie, but Sony were going all in. This was despite strong criticism from hardcore fans, and this is what I don't understand. I don't get why they don't listen to their target audience. If you listen to your community, you're going to know what's going to make money. Single player games, Bloodborne 2, Days Gone 2, those two in itself, a Bloodborne 2 or a Bloodborne remake and a Days Gone 2, I'm telling you, they're going to hit at least 10 million copies. Those who had seen the company dominate the previous console generation through the production of unstoppable single player blockbusters, but with modern AAA development cycles being so colossal, there was simply no turning the ship around. Except that's exactly what Sony is in the process of doing as of we write this article. In case you haven't seen the news yet, we know they've cancelled 2 live service games. And here we have, yes, The Last of Us Factions concept art. Let's not forget about the reportedly troubled Marathon Bungie. Yes, so what is going on with that game? The long rumored Horizon live service thing. Again, another game that no one's really asking for. No one has asked for a live service Horizon game. I just don't think it's as big as an IP as what Sony wants it to be. And Fair Games, you saw the backlash on the trailer that got. Not looking great for these projects right now. Not when Sony's out here ditching a live service God of War game. At this point, we probably couldn't even comprehend the amount of money that Sony has sunk into this doomed direction. So many talented developers will have toiled away on these projects for thousands upon thousands of hours. It's just crazy the direction Sony went in. Is that why Jim Ryan left? It feels like they are doubling back around now. They're probably thinking, man, we made a huge mistake. Now, I'm not saying you don't try live service games. Helldivers 2 is one of them. They did it in a very good way. I just don't understand why you don't bring back beloved IPs and try and make a live service. You try and make Concord, a game that took, what, 7 years to make? No way it cost 400 million. I just simply don't believe it. You make the worst characters and you shut it down after 2 weeks and then shut down the studio. Why didn't you make a Killzone live service game or a Resistance live service game? I don't get why you don't take the existing things you have got.
In what universe was those Concord characters gonna work?
The reason why I'm so shocked by this is because I love the PS5. I've enjoyed so many good games. Could it have been even better? For sure. A lot of people will say a lot of the games you can play on PS4. True, I love the PlayStation 5. It's amazing, but the amount of time you've wasted because you've been chasing trends, and you just think it's annoying that Naughty Dog have released, like, the last 3 games have been The Last of Us remakes, remasters, and the Intergalactic game. I know that's another story whether you actually want to get that game. Is that game going to come at the very end of this generation? Is it going to be another situation where it's going to get a PS6 upgrade? I guess that's why I'm enjoying games that are from China, that are from Japan, that are from South Korea. I feel like the Asian developers know what their audience wants. And if we have a look at this article here, there has been a rumor that there's going to be a state of play set for next month. And this is said by the Nintendo Switch 2 leaker. So if we have a look at this, so Sony's next state of play live stream will take place next month in February. Hopefully we can stream this live. Who's just correctly suggested the Nintendo Switch 2 will be announced today has hinted. Responded to a user on Twitter asking about the next possible state of play. Nate Drake responded, how's February sound? So a state of play taking place in February wouldn't be anything unusual from Sony, as the company has hosted the event in that month for the past 4 years, either through general presentations or ones focused on a single game. So the likes of Death Stranding 2 on the beach and Ghost of Yotai could be headliners for potential upcoming state of play, since both are slated to arrive in 2025. Not only that though, there's a claim itself that Nate Drake has proven over the months to be reliable, with their most famous suggestion suggesting the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, which we're going to come to, and also they've also said the Halo the Master Chief Collection is coming to PS5 this year. A state of play fits smaller announcement around its bigger reveals, generally accumulating in anywhere between 15 and 20 pieces of news. It'll be great if there is a state of play, although I feel like we've just got so many states of play. I'm getting a bit frustrated with them, and I want to see showcases. I want to see some big game titles. I feel like going into the PS6, I assume that is years away, might not be, but I want to see new titles. Like, I love the God of War series. Horizon was good. The Last of Us, I'm kind of done with. I love the first one. You know how I feel about the second one, but I feel like going into the PS6 era, I want to see new IPs. I want to see new stories, new characters, new experiences, and not remasters and remakes. But it does show you where Sony have been, because they've just doubled down on the live service. It's not worked out. And now, as we all know, AAA games take a hell of a long time to make, and that is the biggest problem in this industry. If it takes 7 years to make a game, it's basically a generation. They have to find ways to make smaller games, maybe take 3 to 4 years. How long did Astro Bot take? I believe Astro Bot took 3 years, or was it 4? And that is an amazing game. I just can't believe that we're probably not going to see anything from Ben's studio till the next generation. That's me assuming, unless they bring bring out a Days Gone remaster. Blue Point Studios, I feel like they're just going to work on a PS6 debut title now. That's with PlayStation, that's with Sony. I love my PlayStation 5. Hopefully things will get better, but we're going to move over and react to the Nintendo Switch 2. We did talk about this on the live stream, but I feel like now it's digested, we can have a look at it again. I personally think this was an amazing trailer. I have to say, I'm someone who doesn't play my Switch anymore. I didn't even complete Tears of the Kingdom, but looking at this Switch, it looks really cool. If there's amazing games, if there's a Super Mario Odyssey 2, if there's a Zelda Twilight Princess remake, that might bring me in. But if we have a look at the trailer, it starts really cool with the Nintendo Switch. Seeing that original console, it goes straight into the screen. I love the way they did this trailer. Like, it just looks so sick, the way it's kind of evolving. The main thing to take away from this, you have the charging port at the bottom, the USB-C up. There's now one at the top and the bottom. Got that kickstand that goes all the way back, which looks pretty cool. And the most interesting part of this was the Joy-Cons. Now, obviously, they're much bigger. I love the way they now snap into place, which is probably so much better. I do love the fact that they've made it black with the blue and the red. What else is very, very cool is that the buttons are actually, I think, a little bit bigger as well. But what else is very cool is the fact that you can use it as a mouse. I think that looks so cool. Yeah, they actually look like mice with the wrist straps. Imagine how they're going to implement that in. Knowing Nintendo, they're going to make it interesting, where you can do games on the table, where you're like looking at the screen or something like that. Way it just snaps in place, it looks a lot more secure, and there's a little button on the back as well, the way it snaps in place. And I think it's a very cool console. I feel like anyone saying that they were expecting something else, I think everyone was expecting them to do a Nintendo Switch 2, and I think a lot of people were hoping that they do that. Don't make some wacky something else or call it something completely different. Build upon what you've got, and I feel like they could just keep going with this. The Nintendo Switch 3, the Nintendo Switch 4, the Nintendo Switch 5, and at the very end of the trailer, you did get to see it in action, is a new Mario Kart. There's room for 24 players, I believe, at the start. This will be coming out on the debut title, and I feel like that in itself is going to sell so much. Donkey Kong is actually changed more like the movie, and then you get to have a look at the dock, which is a lot more rounded, and you can kind of see the switches popping out a bit, and then it snaps into place when you want to put the controllers. I'm just wondering, what games are they going to be at launch? I feel like they're going to have a lot of titles there, and I think it's an amazing move from Nintendo. As I said, don't really play my Switch anymore. I'm going to have to see what they're going to do. It would take a lot for me to go and buy this console on day one, unless I decide to make this channel just a gaming channel, and I'll buy it, review it, maybe do some game. I'm not sure. Maybe you guys can let me know if you prefer something like that. You can even sign up to experience this console at numerous locations in Europe and in America and in London. Obviously, it's more like a lottery, so I probably won't even be going for it. I do believe that they're making around 20 million consoles in its first year. I'm more excited to see how powerful this system is, how good the graphics are going to be, and what are the games, because let's be honest, games sell consoles. Could say this is an Xbox, really, because technically Xbox, you know, everything's an Xbox. What do you think about this latest big news from Sony and the Nintendo Switch 2 and that state of play coming? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know. Let's take a look at the comment of the day from my previous video. I completed Returnal. Shout out to Tropax. I avoided Returnal for 2 years after it released because it looked very hard and I hadn't played any roguelikes at the time, but then I got it on PS Plus and thought, what the hell, it's free, I might as well try it. And oh my god, what a phenomenal game. It's one of my favorite games ever now. It's a testament to how good the game is when it frustrates you so much but you can't put it down. Also saying, one more run. When it came to Returnal, yes, it was a very frustrating game. When I got into it, I didn't realize I've put over 50 hours. I was like, it doesn't even feel like I put 50 hours into this game. I highly recommend you go back and watch that review. Hit a like if you don't mind. We're trying to make it full time this year and we will get there. Anyway, it's time to relax and play some games.